First frame, Judd Trump to break.
Tom Ford returning from Group 3 where he lost out in the semi-finals 3-2 to John Higgins, but Trump ending there with a century, so already looking good. Of course, Ford was a semi-finalist at the German Masters here a few weeks ago, lost out to Jack Lazowski, could have played Trump in the final, so his form in general has been pretty handy in the last few weeks, but he's up against the world number one here, already playing some good stuff this afternoon. It's a very good group, this, Dominic, isn't it? And, you know, it's one of these, I think, where if you lose a couple of matches early on, you're really going to be struggling. Such is the quality.
Yes, and especially if you lose them 3-0, the way Mark Williams just has. Although he was, of course, playing the world number one, Judd Trump. Tom Ford here, though, is a player that on his day can easily compete with Judd in the scoring. Very capable player. Made a lot of centuries in his career, including maximum breaks, and for somebody a little bit further down the rankings, I think he's made something like 3 or 4 147s in his career. That's quite unusual for somebody that's ranked where he is. But of course Judd has just played a match, won it 3-0, knows how this table's playing now. Tom Ford will have to accustom himself to the way the cloth and the cushions are playing.
Yeah, he's actually made 5 maximums in competition, so that is good going. Ford number 27 in the world rankings, which have just been revised after last night's shootout. Trump obviously miles in front at number 1 still. I guess he will feel Ford his safety has to be good. Try and keep Trump out. And then if he does get chances, he's got to bring that scoring game that he has to the fore. They played first round of the World Championship, didn't they? First match last year. In fact, Ford was on for a maximum in the first frame, broke down on 97. Well, he's found one.
Well,
It's not on the colour, but he's knocked it in.
Yeah, Tom had played a good safety, was a little unlucky to leave the red on, but I'm sure Tom realised that the chances of Judd getting onto a colour there are next to nothing. Judd trying to make sure that he doesn't tie the black up there.
Still 1-1 on table 2 between Mark Selby and Jack Lazowski, and they've had a re-rack actually in frame 3. Selby, of course, back in action after last night's shootout final where he was beaten by Ryan Day. Back to the more traditional form of snooker today. No more rushing around the table.
Yeah, I was just saying to Phil Yates in the first match, who commentating on Judd here, that when you play in the shootout and you contest it right to the bitter end, by the time you've played several matches, well, that's a handy fluke from Judd, and he's nice on the brown, so that could be a costly fluke from Tom Ford's point of view. Yeah, I was just going to say that when you compete in the later stages of the shootout, it can, by the time you finish with it, knock your rhythm out completely, because you're on the shot clock. You can't cue the ball or take your time over shots the way you normally do in other professional ranking events, and it can cause problems with your game sometimes for players.
Interesting that Trump didn't take the brown on, decided to keep things tight.
foul and a miss. Judd Trump 4.
Now in the shootout, of course, you couldn't roll up because you have to hit a cushion or pot a ball. But if you were to, say you were snookered and you played that shot, then your opponent could then have the cue ball anywhere if you foul. But we're back to the, as I say, the normal rules now. So back we go. The miss called.
Okay with that? Yeah, thank you.
This looks a bit harder.
Yes, and this will help Judd now, because I'm sure he'll play a safety off the red next to the cue ball, which will push it out away of the black and make it available, the black, into the right corner. But Judd himself this time is short of pace. Well, not by much though. He did have a lot of left-hand side, it appears, on the cue ball. Did a little better than I thought it would.
Well, it's a Judd Trump special, but it's been played by Tom Ford. Felt like he deserved better from it in a way. Great pot though.
Yeah, absolutely. He's not actually that badly on the brown. I fancy him to cut this in, but can he get onto a red? Well, that's not bad. He's on a red to the left corner. Now the next question is, can he somehow get onto the pink and get that back into play, which would free the blue up, of course.
Six.
Well, he knows he's got to score, and that's his game. If he can do that, he can absolutely win this match. If he leaves chances, though, we know that Trump is playing well. We've seen it already today, and he becomes a big favourite if Ford, can only make sort of 30s and 40s. And already he's not happy.
Well, that's really unfortunate if Tom doesn't have the red on into the right corner. Judd won't be happy either, because that cannon to the red has meant the black's now safe. Oh, well played.
13.
Very well there.
$17. $18.
And it's clear to see that Tom Ford is a natural break builder. Gets on with things, doesn't hang around. As my fellow commentator Dave Hendon alluded to at the beginning of the match, he's a player that's currently pretty confident
24.
in his game. He's had some good results this season and has played some very good snooker.
25.
He's also gearing up for his charity running, isn't he? In March he's going to be running every day to try and raise money for the daughter of one of his friends, young Maya, who needs an operation or needs some medical treatment that she can't get on the NHS. So Tom and some others are going to be taking part in that charity endeavour, and you can read more about it on the World Snooker website, wst.tv, which includes a link to the donation page. Good luck to him
31.
with that, because as he said, he's not necessarily a natural runner, but he's going to give it his best.
32.
Fortunately for Tom, the cue ball's
38.
finished. The black spot.
39.
Left him a perfect angle on the red, and he's still nicely on this pink to continue the break, and a good chance here for a good start in this match. He'll be disappointed now if he doesn't go on and win the frame from here, and this has been a very, very good performance from Tom in this first frame. He's had to really work for this.
Well, it's already going better than it did at the shootout, where he potted one ball and that was it. He lost first round to Craig Steadman, but obviously that's such a
46.
cutthroat format. This is we're back to the proper stuff now. It's a great ready potted to get in.
52. 53.
So, frame ball red coming up for Tom Ford. And a very lively start.
59.
Tom, a couple of months ago, is
60.
another player that did experiment with the titanium ferrule, but decided he didn't like it and had the more traditional brass ferrule replaced on his cue, and played some great snooker since then.
Trump requires 3 snookers as it stands. But this frame well and truly over.
$73.
So Judd Trump ended with a century against Mark Williams, but has sat out a big break here from
Tom Ford,
his next opponent, Tom Ford. A good 73, that'll make him feel good. I know he was sat watching Trump going through Mark Williams in the last match, but he'll be happy with the way he started this one. He leads 1-0. And like the shootout with Ryan Day, this is a path into the Champion of Champions, a big event in November. Of course, Trump is he's already very much qualified. He could have his own group, actually. He's won 4 ranking events this season. But for someone like Tom Ford, it's another chance to get in a big money event like that.
A bit short of pace there. So this red is on for Judd into the right corner. Just needs one good positional shot to a colour.
One.
Well, he's certainly the right side of the blue. Now, does the red at the back of the pack pot into this left corner? I'm pretty certain that it does. And therefore Judd may be able to just drop this blue in very slowly for it. Oh, he's missed the blue, has he? Oh, it's just gone in, and I think that cue ball has just about run through far enough for the red.
6. 7.
Not quite as much angle on the blue as Judd would have liked. This will take some doing now to get into the pack of reds using 2 cushions. Oh, and he's missed them. And he'll need to be a little careful with his safety here
12.
to make sure the red doesn't somehow find its way near a pocket.
Foul. 12. Judd Trump for Tom Ford.
Well, better going in off, I think. And the cue ball ricocheting from the jaws of the pocket, leaving Tom Ford at this top end of the table here. was a little loose from Judd. I think he'd admit that himself, but although he's left the red on for Tom, I don't think he can play for the black in the opposite corner. And if he can't, he has quite a task here to try and get to a colour.
Well, while he has a look at it, I can tell you Mark Selby has won that third frame against Jack Lazowski, so 2-1 to Selby. Swan Neck makes an appearance here. Oh dear. Wow. Well, his face says everything there.
Well, yes, Tom's not the tallest of players, but, well, how's he going to play this? He's going to have to play the black because he couldn't nominate a bulk colour because of the red near the right centre pocket. Could easily leave it on. The problem is, Dave, because he can see the black, if he doesn't
Black ball.
make contact with it after 2 attempts, he could lose a frame.
Yeah,
Tom Ford.
I'm not sure he could actually see it full, but anyway, he's hit it, so mini crisis averted. One of the things to admire, I think, about Judd Trump is the fact that he treats every tournament with the same respect. He didn't have to come here necessarily today. He doesn't need the money. He wants the match practice. He wants to keep sharp. He wants to stay sharp, and he wants to win everything he plays in. And that's the old mentality of the likes of Steve Davis and Stephen Hendry. Try and get every trophy there is. He's won this one 3 times. In fact, Championship League 2009, that was his first real breakthrough, winning a tournament featuring other top players of the time. Of course, he was only a teenager then. He was still 19.
Somebody's left the radio away.
Now it's just a slight interruption. Keep the noises off, I think. Been dealt with by the ref.
Such a dangerous shot that Judd took on there. He was playing for the black in the opposite corner, but it's so risky to leave Tom anything like this. He's such a great potter. Fortunately for Judd, that one went astray. This could easily go wrong for Tom. Those 2 reds to the left of that little group of 5 below the pink, which a cannon on to one of those reds the wrong way, could easily knock one on. Oh well, he could get through to this red near the cushion, so no real harm done. two reds just to the left of that little group there did cause Tom a problem. Because they were slightly detached from the pack of reds, it was easy to knock one of them on, and I think Judd's got a choice of both of them here. Oh, where's this cue we're going to finish? Judd wouldn't have had any idea either, but he'd be delighted to see it finish there.
Three. Four. Nine.
Yeah, 4 ranking titles already this season, won 6 last season. Still got a few to come yet,
10.
including the big one just 2 months away, the World Championship, because it's come round quicker than ever, purely because it was later than ever last year. It was in August. Judd Trump was defending champion. Doesn't have that particular pressure this year. In fact, he had such momentum, didn't he, going
15.
into what would have been the championship last year, but then it got moved back to August. Anyway,
16.
he's in here in frame 2. A lot of snooker to be played before we're in Sheffield again. Well, he's got nicely into them. He's got nicely on one.
21.
So he's got a great chance to win the frame in this visit and level the match. You're always going to have the odd off day, but it seems to me he's now producing a consistent level, tournament to tournament. And he's won matches, we've seen it in tournaments he's won matches that he looked dead and buried in. I mean, the most obvious was in the German Masters,
28.
5-1 down to Barry Hawkins in that semi-final. Looked a goner, but came out with 3 centuries in a row on the way back.
29.
When you are winning pretty much every competition you seem to play in, and you're the runaway leader at the top of the rankings, even the other great players that are just behind you, number 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. in the rankings, still fear Judd Trump, and it does cause them to make the odd mistake that maybe they ordinarily wouldn't make against other players. And the other thing,
34.
of course, when you are winning tournaments with the regularity that Judd is, you become so much more resilient.
35.
When opponents put you under pressure, you seem to counteract that without any difficulty at all. You're so full of confidence.
$41. 42.
So the blue to lead by 54. Big pot. Well, in fact, this red
47.
is frame ball, isn't it? Going to pot it right-handed, or try to. Not fair, really, is it?
48.
There is enough on for a century. Trying to develop these reds, not quite worked out. They still might be able to cut this in.
51.
Of course he can. Well, not on the black, so it's going to have to be
52.
good pink if he's going to continue the century bid. You wouldn't put it past him. Red's gone over the pocket, so just got to roll the pink in. But it stays out, so no century, but
Judd Trump,
fine
52
52 from Judd Trump, who very stylishly levels up this match at 1 each. Remember, it's best of 5. Judd Trump's already got, but straight out there, all business on the table, and he's about to beat Jack Lazansky 3-1, possibly with a century. We'll let you know about that as Judd Trump breaks off here in frame 3. 1 each with Tom Ford. Interesting match this, because Trump, of course, we knew was playing well anyway from the first match. He saw Ford bring it all together in the first frame, and I think that just refocused him for the second. So promises to be, I think, high quality all the way through. Ford just hoping a little nudge there. The keyboard kept running.
One good pot here from Judd, and he'll be in business because indeed Tom overrun that safety by about 2.5 feet and has brought a lot of reds into play in the process. So one good pot here for Judd, and he could easily win this frame.
Just before he plays this, Mark Selby has indeed beaten Jack Lazansky 3-1. First result on table 2.
1.
Yeah, I mean, they're not easy, those, but you do fancy him for them. And he's knocked it in.
Just wants to leave himself pretty much parallel to the black here, Judd, to leave himself all kinds of choices for this next intended red.
7.
Can play for the red that's above the black, or play for the one that's nearest that left corner. Well, he didn't quite get into the cue ball there. He's left himself an awkward angle on this red.
14.
Had to push through other balls to remain on the black, I feel. Oh, he was straight enough.
15.
Feels very likely that he will go past Stephen Hendry
22.
here in Milton Keynes during this week, as Phil was saying in the last match. Still only 31, remember, Trump. Ronnie O'Sullivan
23.
went past Hendry at the age of 39. Now, obviously, you know, there's different amounts of tournaments. They have increased in regularity in the last few years, but it's still very, very impressive, because no one else is scoring at this rate. Neil Robertson is very close, but Judd Trump, at the moment, is out on his own
28.
in terms of centuries. 55 this season already.
29.
But first things first, he'd get this frame one.
Just wonder if Judd can get into the pack of reds here. There's a little straight on the black, but he's left himself a lot to do here. This red's still on to the left corner, but it's a very thin
36.
cutback, and again Judd won't really know where the cue ball's likely to finish here. He'll be going straight into the pack of reds. Could finish anywhere, really.
37.
Oh, what a lovely shot. It's worked out so well. He's got them all open. This is a great chance for a massive break.
$41. 42.
Judd's looking at the green here because he's a lot thinner on the blue than he intended to be. And when you are so thin like this on the blue, you tend to use other reds just to hold the cue ball in position. I'm sure that's what Judd will do. He may cannon the two reds together here to the left of the pink spot. Well, cannoned into the pink, absolutely fine. Left himself a choice of reds.
47. $48. 54.
Well, he'll be expecting, I'm sure, to win the frame, certainly, and also
55.
to make another century. Blue puts him 60 in front. Still another 75 on. Remember, there's a £500 prize for the highest break in each group. Because he could do with another 500 quid, couldn't he? He's at 2 million over the last 2 seasons. So this could make all the difference.
$61.
Well, just this red to make the frame safe. I'm sure Judd would love to get position onto the black. Oh, well, did he risk the cannon? I don't think he did.
67.
Just avoided the black for position on the blue. So still batting.
Frame is his now. So it's just now the question of whether he completes this century break to take him one behind Stephen Hendry on the all-time list.
72.
It'll be a little milestone for Trump. I know he has the utmost respect for Hendry. He said before, when Stephen's commentating, he always throws in a kind of shot to impress him, the old exhibition shot.
Yeah, I'm sure Stephen Hendry is very much Judd Trump's sort of man. Played the game in a very similar vein. Although I think it's probably fair to say Judd's tactical ability is
79.
Slightly greater than that of the great Stephen Hendry, but both players were very, very attacking, like to pot good balls to get in with. That's what Stephen Hendry seemed to do quite a lot.
Well, Trump's certainly got more interest in playing the tactical game. Hendry never really had any in it. Just wanted to pot
84.
everything. Now then. Little cut back here to continue.
85.
He's marshalled what was clearly a natural talent into something very special, a really formidable all-round game. I wanted to come past the blue. A bit annoyed as well.
87.
So now he's going to have to pull out a good pot to continue.
$88.
And that's exactly what he's done. It wriggled a bit, but it was difficult. So now, every chance to make his second century of the day.
94. 96. 99.
Possibility of 121 on here for Judd to depot the remaining colours. Expect to see that beaten by somebody. There's a lot of talent in this group.
Well, there's the century, Dom, career century number 774, so just one behind, equaling Stephen Hendry in third place on the all-time list. 56 this season. The cue ball wouldn't have the temerity to go in off, would it? No. So the break ends at 108. It was a dashing effort. Got into the reds pretty early on, as he does, and he kept.
Frame 4, Tom Ford to break.
So frame 4, Tom Ford finds himself 2-1 down, having won the first frame with a 73. Judd Trump has come back 52 and then 180, second century of the day.
So that's a really good safety from Judd. Green hiding the red near the right corner. And there's a very small gap, if there is a gap at all, between brown and blue to clip off the reds and play a safety down the left hand side of the table. And this is what Judd's capable of. Not only do you not expect to get back to the table when you leave him plumbing amongst the balls, as Tom did in that previous frame, he can tie you up in knots with his safety as well, Judd Trump, forcing Tom to play a containing safety that almost went wrong. I still think Judd can cut a red in here.
Well, took that one to the middle, he would have been plumb on the black, but it stayed out. So that's got to go down as a reprieve for Ford.
Tom went all out for that played for choice of bulk colour. It was dangerous, and he's left Judd an opportunity here, and if Judd can get through the gap between yellow and brown to pop the red, well, it's plain sailing, but he still has a red on into this right corner, I feel. Although Judd's looking very closely at it, maybe it's tight. Judd missed that by a country mile. I can only think he was trying to apply some side spin to the cue ball there to try and kick the red in. And that's what made the pot very difficult.
One. 4.
Just needs to be a little careful here, Tom, if he decides to go into the reds. Yeah, I don't blame him for playing one of the loose ones. He could have gone into the pack of reds. It's a hole for a choice of red into either corner.
11. 12.
He may do so here. Could stun into the 2 reds, just directly above the black. Open a few more up. He'll expect to be on the red to the left corner, but maybe he's just a touch straight on the black here.
$19. Tom Ford.
Well,
19.
Misses you can't afford really playing anyone, but certainly playing Judd Trump in form.
Such a useful little nudge off the reds for Judd. Left the cue ball much closer to the middle of the table than it would have finished. Got choices here, could play green or brown. Could go into the pack of reds if he desired. Well, is he on one? Got a cut back to the left corner. Oh, the others are sort of blocking one another, so unless the red that's by the black pots doesn't have an easy continuance of the break here.
Five. Judd Trump. 4. Tom Ford.
Ford will be delighted to get back to the table so quickly. He knows that he's going to have to start knocking in these tricky balls he keeps taking on.
He was sort of backing away there, wasn't he, surveying the possible damage. But Trump falters there, so frame has been a couple of errors already.
Tom has a choice of reds to go at here, but nothing's easy, and positionally it's all rather difficult. If he plays the red to the left corner with the rest, well, cube will be going in to the red and the black, or close to them. How's he going to get out for a colour there? Can he find a gap somewhere for the cue ball to escape towards the blue and the bulk colours?
One.
Yeah, now he's got to make sure he doesn't leave one of these reds on.
Green ball. Tom Ford, 1.
I'm afraid that's what he's done. Saw his reaction. Trump's had a couple of chances already in this frame. Here's another one. And again, it's not in.
Yeah, both these players know that if they can just pot that first red and get onto a colour, there's a lot of points there to be made, but they're just struggling at the minute. Oh, Tom couldn't avoid the cannon on the reds there. And now you can see there's a red near both corner pockets that Tom will have to try and keep safe. You think he's going to leave one of them on for Judd, but Judd would have to play them with pace to be able to get onto a colour, so what's he going to do here, I wonder, Tom? Could try to leave a cue ball in the jaws of the green pocket. That would block off the red to the right corner.
Blue ball. Tom Ford, 1.
Wow, he took a bit of a risk there, Tom, trying to get the cue ball in behind the green, and if he's left this red to the right corner, Judd can do something with this. One to the left corner, well, that's no good to Judd because the cube will be going towards the black and the red that's next to it. But Judd is more than capable of screwing this cue ball back 6 or 8 feet.
What?
As you said. So he's back in. He's faltered a couple of times in this frame, but you just can't afford to give him openings. We know how confident he's feeling, has been feeling these last couple of years. He's not one of these players who gets to the top and then he's looking over his shoulder. He believes he's the best, and that is so important, that self-belief.
Three.
I think ultimately the test of greatness in snooker, it's winning multiple world titles, certainly, because that's the biggest tournament, but it's also winning plenty of the rest, and that, he's certainly got the second half of that sussed. He's winning loads of tournaments.
4.
So the next thing for him over the coming years is to add to tally of world titles. Of course, he won his first 2 years ago.
Judd, being left-handed, can reach this red, and it should make the pink available into the left corner in potting it. And also
10.
the 3 reds near the pink spot may well all be available into the left corner also. So a great chance here for Judd to close out both frame and match here. He will have a lot of work to do though, as you can see, still 5 points in arrears.
15.
So we need to tackle those 2 tricky reds along the top cushion at some point.
$16.
I'd be very tempted here in potting the pink if I could, to try and cannon that black slightly. That would make things so much easier for Judd. You'd expect him to be on one of the 2 reds along the top cushion.
22. 23.
Oh, the red surrendered to the pocket.
$29. 30.
Just wonder here if Judd's straight enough on the pink to hold the spot. Oh, that's handy. To have the pink on the black spot would be very useful for Judd.
36. 37.
Amazing the way Judd sees this game. He's played that cannon with a lot of pace. That cue ball could have finished anywhere. But it's not too bad. He's never looking at trying to pot the pink. Cannon half ball onto the black to deflect the cue ball across to the remaining red, is he? I mean, that's the sort of shot that 9-ball pool players sort of play all the time, but snooker players don't. Oh, what a great effort.
Yeah, I mean, he gets on the red, he wins the match. But he's not on it, so Tom Ford hangs on. 23 in it. Of course, Ford is going to need the green.
Judd Trump, 43.
Good 43 from Trump, and he's got him in a snooker.
Yeah, I'm not sure Tom can just drop onto this red. I think he'll need to play it with some pace. Oh, has he been lucky? He certainly has. My goodness, that's kept him in the match.
Held his hand up by way of apology and possible relief as well. Barry Hawkins has won the first against Kyron Wilson on table 2. That's the second match of the day. Mark Selby won the first match against Jack Lazowski. In fact, Tom Ford goes over there later to play Kyron.
And there's a great shot from Tom Ford, purposely using the red to develop the green, knowing that he had every chance of leaving Judd in the snooker, and he's played it perfectly. So all of a sudden, this is anybody's frame, really.
Foul, a miss. Tom Ford, 4.
He's very close. You saw the referee Colin Humphries right over the top of that. Didn't touch the red, so back we go.
I do make Tom just slight favourite for this frame, because even if Judd does roll up to this red,
Thank you.
I think even Judd would admit there's every chance he'll be in a snooker straight away afterwards, with that green where it is. And this is it, you see, Tom can easily leave a snooker in behind the green, but there wasn't much Judd could do about that.
Well, I mean, they could have finished anywhere, couldn't they? They're just running round. Could have finished anywhere. Sort of rueful look on Ford's face. The fact that he's not been left the red. He had a little touch earlier, though, which he acknowledged.
I think Tom's going to have to play the red sort of towards the bulk colours here and leave the cue ball down behind the black spot, but he could play it in such a way of 2 or 3 cushions to try and get the cue ball near the pink and the black and snooker Judd. Always made a bit of a hash of that. And is this red on for Judd? And being left-handed, he'll be able to play it quite comfortably. The problem is, even if the pot's not on, Judd could easily snooker Tom tight in behind the green, send the red back down this black spot end.
Ford knows that if he leaves the red on, he's probably lost the match. Well, he's left a chance at it. Trump not interested. He caught the knuckle of the middle pocket, so it's not a snooker.
I'm sure Tom Ford's astounded Judd didn't take the red on, but that's because Judd felt it was an absolute certainty to play a telling safety there, and it would have been had the cue ball not ricocheted from the jaws of that left-hand centre pocket. But this red is very tight to the bulk cushion, so Tom will have to be careful to avoid the double kiss here. Well, he did double kiss the red, but is it safe?
So a bit of an epic battle on the last red. Judd Trump 19 in front, looking for a chance to kill the match off. Ford looking for a chance to force a decider. Trump's already turned down a pot at the red. It's certainly true that one of his virtues now is patience as well. When he was younger, he was just looking to pot and pot and pot, and he got plenty, but he's really matured into a fine all-round player, and that's why he's winning matches and ultimately tournaments where he's not been at his best all the way through. He's grinding out wins when he has to, and at other times turning it on.
Well, that's not too bad from Tom's point of view. This safety is very tough for Judd. Now, will he risk the pot on the red because of the difficulty of the safety? Controlled the cue ball nicely, and he's done a pretty good job with the red too to keep it down this end of the table. Interesting frame this now. Snookers are never easy to escape from and leave safe when the object ball's in the middle of the table like this. And I think Judd has left this on for Tom, who comes to the table 19 points behind, so needs pretty much all the balls. Problem is that yellow, it may just roll into the middle pocket, but he'd need to play it with a little bit of pace to try and get onto the green. So that's something that Tom's considering already.
Well,
Well, Tom played that with a fair amount of pace, but the keyboard didn't seem to do anything. I presume he played for the black into the left centre, which is still on, of course, but has completely the wrong angle on it. Tom may, in the end, decide to turn down the 7 points. He may try to just set the frame up for himself later on by making the green easier. That's what he's tried to do. Leave the snooker in behind the blue, develop the green, and that's a really good shot he's played there.
Well, that's the difference when Trump decided to play save. He didn't get it saved. Well, he got the red save, but he didn't get the snooker that he was intending when he turned the pot down. But Ford thought about that, and he's hoping he's set a little trap here. Again, they could have finished anywhere. And not there, though. It was all about one good pot, wasn't it? It was always going to be on the green. The clearance was on. The yellow's not in, though.
Judd can play thin off the yellow here, leave it behind the black spot, use the blue, pink and black as snookering balls. Oh, he's got the double kiss. I'm very surprised at that mistake from Judd, but it's worked out very nicely, thank you very much.
I think this is why snooker is such an odd game, Dom, because, you know, you can play a really bad shot and ultimately profit from it. That could have won in the match, depending on this next shot. If Ford leaves the yellow on, it's probably over. Hang on. Well, he's hit it, but... Wow. Judd Trump doesn't pot it. So, Tom Ford, after all, does get another chance. Been a very different frame to the others that we've seen in this match.
2.
Yeah, full of variety. We've seen all kinds of mistakes and reprieves. But Tom hasn't finished nicely on this green here. Needs all the remaining colours to win the frame.
5.
And he's still got work to do here. One good positional shot required, and this brown is still missable.
No.
Yeah, still, as you say, still work to do. Needs them all. I wonder if Trump now wishes, though, that he'd taken that red on when he had the chance. It's easy to say, I know. It's easy to say now, but it was a chance basically to win the match, he decided to play safe. It looks like we're going into a deciding frame. He had a chance at the yellow as well, but it stayed out, went over the green pocket. Tom Ford has cleared the colours, so a very dramatic fourth frame goes to Tom Ford, and he's still in with a chance here. He's looking to prevail in this decider.
Deciding frame, Judd Trump to break.
So Judd Trump had chances to win 3-1, but here we are at 2-2. This is the last frame.
Judd may be able to glance off the reds here, leave the cue ball in behind the green on the bulk cushion. He's just trying to develop a few reds in the process. That's something that Judd does like to do. Put as much pressure as possible on the opponent's safety. Over on table 2, by the way, Kyron Wilson has won the second frame in his encounter with Barry Hawkins, so they're now level at 1-1. Frame 3 has just begun. I certainly found that red from somewhere, Judd. Thin cut back avoided cannoning of the ball, so he's in good shape here. I think he can pot the brown and avoid cannoning the yellow. Oh, he's looking at the blue. And this is missable the way he'll be playing it. Oh, well done. And I think he's on a red, so Judd will be delighted with that.
6.
Just a reminder, you can follow all the latest news from the Championship League on the official website, championshipleaguesnooker.co.uk, and also on the Twitter account @SaleSnooker. All the updates from the various matches are on there, and of course there's information on the website as well about who's coming into the later groups. Well, he certainly meant that one, but going to need another good pot here to continue.
Just wonder if he's straight enough on the red to the green pocket to hold for the black into the right corner. He'd have to just kill the pace of the cue ball as best he could and just roll the red in. Difficult to see with that camera shot whether the shot's on or not. Oh, he could take the pot on, try and cannon the black towards the right corner. No problem at all. I think he may be on a red to the right corner here, Judd.
19.
But if it's the one nearest the cue ball, he can just stun past the red to the left of it for position on the blue.
20.
Well, that will frustrate him because it's a big target, clearly. And that cue ball might be going in the pocket. Either way, didn't get into the reds.
25.
And now he's left with this shot.
Yeah, absolutely, Dave. He's left himself a tough safety here. And if he plays off the right-hand corner of the reds, he's got to be careful he doesn't tie the black up here.
Well, amazing
25.
how quickly that's turned round. If he gets into the reds and gets on one, he probably wins the match, but he didn't. And now he's left forward an opening. Certainly, halfway through the last frame, Trump looked a certainty to win this match, but maybe not.
Yeah, well, we may have to see Tom Ford play a shot in a similar way to we saw Judd Trump play his in the last frame. Deep screw. He's decided to play for the black. As I say, Judd did tie it up with that previous safety. And this black is a real tester for Tom Ford because he can't just drop it in for his next red. He'll have to play it with a bit of pace. And my goodness, I think this is risky. Sort of played a bit of a 50-50 shot there. He didn't really play it with the pace that he felt he had to.
8.
Well, a great pot, but my goodness, he's put himself under pressure here because he's played that in such a way as to be taking this black on into the same pocket. And if this doesn't go in, it could be frame a match over. Oh, that's brilliant from Tom Ford. It really is. If that black doesn't go in, I'm sure Tom Ford would have felt that could have been frame a match over.
16.
Yeah, it was all or nothing, wasn't it? But now, what an opportunity for Ford, who, as I say, looked very likely to lose 3-1. He's dug in well, actually. Kept his head in this match, and now it's in his hands.
24. Tom Ford, 24.
Well, Tom will be bitterly disappointed at having missed the red. He knows he should have been on it better. He knew he couldn't hold for the black. But it wasn't difficult. Again, is it because he's playing the world number one, Judd Trump? Would Tom have missed that red had he been playing a much lower ranked player?
Eight. Nine. Sixteen. 17.
I think this is the hardest thing, isn't it, to take Dominic for a player when you've had your chance. If Trump comes out, knocks in 3 centuries, wins 3-0, Ford can hold his hand up, I've just been outplayed, but he had it in his hands there. Great chance to get the win.
25.
Absolutely, Dave, and some of the pots he knocked in to keep the break going, and he put himself under all kinds of pressure rolling that black into the right centre, gave himself that chance to win frame and match. And you almost feel that you have to win frame and match when you take the shots on that Tom did to keep the break going. He's done all the hard work now for Judd Trump,
32.
who just needs another couple more reds and colours to win 3-2.
83.
And he'll be relieved, I think, because, as I say, he had chances to win 3-1. It means he will maintain his early 100% record. 2 wins out of 2, top of the group for now. He's got 2 more matches today, Trump. He's got his good friend Jack Lazowski, and he's got Karen Wilson as well to come later. 2 balls away here from winning this match.
40.
Whatever the tournament, whatever the format, Judd Trump is keyed up for success. He's had plenty in the last couple of years. He wants more. He's not done yet, not by a long shot. And this Championship League he's always enjoyed. He's won it 3 times. He's here again looking for another trophy. First things first, of course, is win the group
46.
and then put himself into that winners group in March. But it's a match that he knows he could have lost. Tom Ford had the chance, and that's what will hurt the Leicester man.
47.
Not enough on for a century. We may see the odd that razzle-dazzle shot, maybe. We'll see. Right-handed on the red.
53.
Well, he's ended up on the yellow.
62. Judd Trump, 62.
So 62, Tom Ford will be disappointed having had the chance. Judd Trump has finished off well. He had another century, that's 2.